The group home people came to her after she'd been there for 5 years. And they said to her, well, you're in the kinds of group homes that have 8-hour oversight. We also have group homes that have 24-hour oversight, which you don't need. We're closing the 8-hour places. You can move into the 24-hour places, which you don't need, or you can move into your own apartment. And the family was like, no, you can't move into your own apartment. We were really scared. We thought of all the things that could go wrong. We were so afraid. And of course, since we say no, she says yes. So she moves into her own apartment. And when she moved into her own apartment, the break between her and the family became almost complete because we were so upset with her. Because we knew what was right for her. Why wouldn't she listen to us? Why was she doing all these ridiculous things like thinking she could live alone? So we were very frustrated and scared. And so at that point, mostly we were communicating with her through her letters. My sister routinely writes everyone in the family tons of letters. And when I say tons, I mean 3 or 4 a day. It's true. And they're wonderful. And she's done it for many years. And they're always charming and make you feel good. And she decorates the envelopes very elaborately. And they're so colorful and cheerful that no matter what mood you're in, you come home, and you open the door, and there are all these paper jewels spread on your vestibule floor, and your spirits lift up. Now, for many years, these letters had in them stories about things that were going on with soap opera stars, which is not terribly interesting, I have to say. But after she'd been living in her own apartment for a little while, the letters started to change. And instead of writing about Erica Kane, she was talking about people named Jacob and Rodolfo and Estella. And we were like, who are these people? And we couldn't figure out who they were. And then we started to realize, oh, well, they were bus drivers. And that didn't make any sense, although it became clear that she thought of these bus drivers as her friends. But it still didn't make any sense. And then I realized whenever I tried to call her for these sort of obligatory phone call that, you know, you go through and you really don't have anything to say, but you got to press on through because it's the right thing to do. Whenever I tried to make that call, the phone would ring and ring. She wasn't there. She wouldn't pick up the phone. And this went on and on and on. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Finally, I called our brother. I said, Max, what's going on? Every time I try to call Beth, she's not there. And he said to me, she's on the bus. And I said, she can't be on the bus all the time. And he said, she's on the bus. Little did I know she had found a sense of meaning she had not had, a sense of freedom and independence she hadn't had, a community, and a new identity. She'd become Cool Beth. This happened on October 18th, 1993, when, for reasons she can't remember, she took her knowledge of travel training and her bus pass, went down in the elevator from her apartment out to the local bus shelter, waited for a bus as she'd been taught to do, saw a bus coming from the top of the hill. It came down. She flagged it down. It stopped in front of her. The door opened. The driver looked at her with the nicest smile, and he looked like the nicest person. And she thought, oh, this looks like fun. This looks like a good thing to do. And she got up the steps to the bus and showed him her pass as she'd been taught. And the door closed, and she sat down, and the bus took off, and she turned to the passengers, and guess what? They were the community she'd been raised in, not the segregated world. They were all ages, all ethnicities, all levels of ability, everybody together. And the bus started moving, and she started feeling really good because it was so much better than sitting at home and watching soap operas. Maybe you could make your own soap opera, and you could talk to these people and find out about their soap operas. And the bus is moving along, and she could talk to the driver, who was really nice and was really fun. You could see the world, and the bus did this whole big loop around the city, and she got to know everybody and all their birthdays, of course. And then the bus comes back to where she started about an hour later, and she got off, and the door closed, and she waved goodbye, and it took off, and she felt just so good. And then she saw another bus coming down the hill, and it started pulling up in front of her. And it was a different driver with a different smile, and she got on, and she started riding bus to bus to bus to bus to bus from about 6 in the morning till 6 at night, 6 days a week, and she would ride on Sundays, except the buses don't run on Sundays. And she became what the Philadelphia Inquirer later called a serial bus rider. I have discovered that every city in the country has a serial bus rider. I guarantee that you have them in your system, all of the systems that you have here. Many of them are people with some kind of cognitive disability, but not all. Many of them, like my sister, know all the drivers and their birthdays, know all of their schedules. My sister can tell you at any moment of any day the exact intersection that every driver is at, and the schedules change weekly. She's there the minute they're posted, reading down the list, making sure she can recalibrate her schedule for the week. And it became this great sense of meaning and importance to her. Now, I realize not everyone in the world is a serial bus rider. I don't necessarily recommend that you become one. But through my sister, I came to see that the transportation world, community and public transportation, provides an incredible sense of community support, friendship, and warmth to many, many people. And to my sister, it gave her a life that she otherwise wouldn't have had. And she fell in love with it. And by the way, she fell in love with it so much that not only can she tell you the top 10 songs that are airing every week, she also ranks all the drivers according to the top 10. And you always know what number you are and when you get demoted. And if you are in the top 10, you too are cool. But of course, since I'm her sister, I am never cool.